Hey, everybody. It's Nancy from American Pet Professionals. Welcome to another episode of Digging into the Pet Industry. We are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So, wherever you're watching from, thank you for being here. And if you're listening to our podcast, thank you for listening. I'm excited to have back APP member Janene Nadolny-Jimenez of Pet DropShipper on the show. Welcome back, Janene.
Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Thank you
hey,
for having me.
hey.
Thank you.
So I'm really happy to have you back. And today's show is a little different because we had you on before. We went into your story about the pet industry, but we're really going to be paying attention to the fourth quarter and what people should be doing for the fourth quarter when it comes to their pet business. So let's dig right in. So
Awesome.
my first question for you is, with the fourth quarter coming up on October 1st, I know tomorrow's the first day of summer. Seems like it's a while away, but it's fast, right?
It goes faster than you know.
Right. So what would you suggest the first thing that a pet business owner should do to prepare for the fourth quarter?
So the first thing they should do is realize that these things happen sooner than you expect. So anyone who's a seasoned person, some of these things that we're going to discuss are a little bit redundant for them. But as we've said in other podcasts and conversations, things have changed so much. And I find it so important to constantly reiterate. The fourth quarter is the Black Friday season. The reason it's called Black Friday is because that's when many companies are finally in the black. So it's really, really important to, set down time to really focus on what it is that they want to accomplish, looking at the time. I mean, we're already purchased in since global. All my holiday stuff is already purchased since global.
Yeah.
So really just look at, what they did last year or what they're anticipating to do, or perhaps they're, following another business in their neighborhood or in their community, getting some feedback from, let's say, the bookstore or the shoe store or the baby store or paper store, whatever it is, if they're new in that community, and really map out what they would like to see for their business, and then begin to put in place things that need to be done. And we'll discuss some of those things that I've found in not just my years with Pet Dropshipper and drop shipping to retailers, but also coming from corporate retail in malls. So one of my previous positions was, and we did a lot of the buying, same thing, very early into the year. Pre-booking is a buzzword, right? But it's really something that's essential when it comes to fourth quarter. You have to be in it to win it, is the cliche, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's amazing. For anybody listening that doesn't realize, Global was in March of this year. So Janene said that she's already has everything purchased for the fourth quarter during Global, right after Global. So you're very prepared ahead of time.
Yep.
Yeah,
I would love to see everyone who buys from us. I want to see them be as successful as possible. And my success is their success. So the more I prepare for my success, the more ability it gives them to be successful. And I can create those tools in place for them to be successful.
Yeah. So let's just say there's somebody that is only a year into business. Let's say they launched last year, June 1st, 2022, and now it's their full year into business. Would you tell them to look at last year's overall holiday sales? And if you would, why?
100%, because it's really going to be a barometer as to what you did last year. And you can look at simple things like what inventory is left, what sold and what didn't sell. What were some of the takeaways that your customers were discussing, and making sure that you're buying and ordering the things that did work, and then looked at the things that didn't sell so well. And I can use an example of dog toys, right? Dog toys are a huge product during the holiday season, whether it's Christmas stockings or plush toys. You may have bought a variety because it's your first year of all size dogs, small dog toys, medium dog toys, and large dog toys. So perhaps the larger toys didn't move as well as the smaller toys. So now you want to think about scaling back on the things that didn't work and increasing on the things that did work. And one of the things that I think is the most important thing with seasonal buying is buy short. And what that means is sell through. especially as a small business, you do not want to sit on product. That's dollars that are being held in a back room for 10 months out of the year. Coming from corporate retail, I've learned we used to buy short all the time. And of course, as a buyer and being in a retail store, you would panic and say, oh my God, I'm out of all these multi-pet loofah Christmas Santa Clauses or Hanukkah loofahs. And you would panic by thinking you're going to miss out on sales. When it comes so far into the end of the season, people want to purchase something. So even those everyday items will begin to move. And we'll discuss the everyday items that should not be lost either in a few questions down the road.
Yeah, I think
definitely.
I think that's so important, because looking back will give that, reflection on, like you said, what did sell, what didn't sell, what was taking up valuable retail space in terms of dollars, right? Is that stuff that didn't sell taking up space that you maybe could have had something else that might be selling? So I think it's really important to pay attention to that, especially if you're new and if you haven't done that in a while. I feel like sometimes you go into retail stores and they're just overloaded with pet products that are holiday themed. And then you see them deeply discounted the day after because they probably bought too much. Would you say you would rather be sold out of something than?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. I don't even have to finish the question. 100%.
Right. Yeah.
Because then you can gauge for the following year what that increase is, right? So, and you want to increase and think of a number, and especially being in the first year. If you're a seasoned person, you already kind of know the ebbs and flows of what your customers are looking for. So you can say, I want to increase on my small dog toys because we blew out of them before Thanksgiving. Maybe increase that percentage by 20% versus what you purchased. So if you've ordered, and I'm going to use small numbers, if you ordered $500 worth of small dog toys and $500 worth of medium and large dog toys, maybe you want to say, I'm going to order $250 worth of medium and large dog toys and take that other $250 and increase that $500 to $750. Also looking at neighborhoods. I just was at a distributor open house and saw an old customer of mine, and she was saying how much her neighborhood changed. Really pay attention to those things. Yeah. Did your neighborhood change where, okay, last year you sold so many small dog toys, but is this year the community transition and you notice there's more families with medium to large dogs? So then that's another thing to take into consideration. So when you're buying, you want to also look at, and I would liken this to looking at your consumables. Are you selling bigger bones? Are you selling bigger bags of food? Are you selling, more jerky treats versus little training tidbits or small biscuits? So look at what your customers are buying and you'll know the size of the pet that they have. So the customer will tell you what you should be doing if you just really take your time and pay attention to what they're doing or what they're buying.
And hopefully they'll be able to track that with the POS system, like, what they're buying more of, what their customers are buying more. They're buying those large, and what you're selling out of. You could see it physically. What's lower in inventory than what wasn't.
Sure. And I'm a huge advocate of the technology, as you all know, with integration and spreadsheets. But I will tell you, the old timers did it well. Yeah. And they had Casio calculator level, cash registers that just had dollar amounts and sale. And those things also still really hold true. Yeah. That you do have to pay attention to that. Because again, some small business owners might say, you know what, I don't even have time to download this report. Or the person who set up my POS system is no longer with me. I don't even know how to do that.
Right.
And believe me, I hear it. I hear it often, especially when it comes to drop shipping and our integration customers. They're just like, I hired someone to do it. They're no longer available to do it. I have no idea. So we're going with the flow. And I respect that deeply because it's the tenacity for you to just keep going. It's like amazing. Yeah. But that's when you need to kind of keep your ear to the ground, so to speak, and look and watch and see and feel what's going on in the store versus necessarily always relying on the access to a spreadsheet or your computer system.
I do know a retailer that is old school, was in retail their entire life, not pet, now is in pet for a while, and literally can tell you by flipping through their book what they made day to day, year over year. So it's pretty
Yeah.
interesting that they really keep track of that. And they have the technology in their store, but they still make sure they record everything. So it's interesting. And that goes back to, looking at what your sales were for the holiday and then planning your budget numbers for spending for this upcoming fourth quarter, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You definitely need to create a budget, as we were saying, and staying a little short is really going to be critical, because you want to also use those dollars to be able to buy perhaps some everyday items that customers will, be interested in,
Yeah.
but also you'll be able to sell throughout the year. One of the categories that I always love, and we kind of banter back and forth a lot in the office when we're doing the buying, is I love just the winter toy. Right. I love the
Yes.
snowman that doesn't have, a Santa hat, or I
Right.
love, the moose, or the winter animals, the fox, the,
Yeah.
the moose, the reindeer, and they don't have to necessarily be holiday themed for you
Right.
to then. Penguins are really cute. Polar bears are adorable, and
Yeah.
all these other animals that you can then continue to sell into throughout the winter months. And they're
Yeah.
not necessarily themes. And or you have clients that may not necessarily celebrate a particular, religious holiday, Hanukkah or
Hmm.
Christmas, and
Yep.
they're going to a friend's house. They respect their tradition, but they're not necessarily going to buy, the adorable rabbi loofah. They just want maybe a,
Right.
a snowman because the person has a dog,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so those are also, good points to look into when you're buying some things as well. So you want to be able to transition into the season of winter, right? Like they make snowflake and
Yep.
pumpkin flavor, and all these different seasonal, like pumpkin is huge, right?
Yeah.
Pumpkin spice coffee. I mean, people wait for it all year long. They make pumpkin spice dog treats. You can get those into the store September and
Yeah.
start selling through them. Whimsy
Yeah.
makes an adorable pumpkin flavored dog chews. I've had stores say, you know what, we open them up, we put them out, and they're pumpkin, and people will sell through them, versus it having, let's say, a witch and a pumpkin on
Right.
for Halloween theme on there. So
Yep.
lots of different ways to look at using that budget, buying smartly, and then being able to kind of work those products into the winter and fall seasons. It's really important.
Yeah, it's really true. It's really smart. I do think that because a lot of times you'll see people with like the snowflakes or the snowman, and I'm like, that it's still winter. I'm like, even if you live in
Mm-hmm.
Florida, it's still winter.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool. Can you talk to me a little bit about the 80-20 rule? I know we kind of glazed over it a little bit before, but 80% of your sales come from 20% of your products, and how to manage that in a seasonal manner.
So it's a lot of what we were just speaking on, looking at
Yep.
your sales, budgeting into your sales portion of what you're going to buy. So your last year, and again, I'm just going to use round numbers, you sold $10,000 worth of seasonal products. So 80% of that should go back into, or 80% of what you want to replenish should go back into some seasonal items. That other 20% you look at doing some everyday items that might be more winter themed,
Hmm.
right? Penguin toys, sweaters, that's another seasonal item that people kind of overlook. Sweaters and beds, right? Like we have, our pet season with beds starts in the back to school season. It starts
Yeah.
to get cooler. The dog maybe destroyed the bed, or the dog was a puppy over the summer because you got the kids a dog. The customers
Right.
bought their children a dog for graduation, and now the dog has outgrown that smaller bed, and now it's cold. The dog's coming, so all these different things where you can look at, spending a little bit of that budget on things that are going to go last you longer on the sales floor. And that's
Yeah.
really, really important.
Yeah, I love that. It's so true. So let's talk about what is working, right? I feel like in so many businesses, a lot of things have changed in terms of what people are spending and how people are spending with the economy, what's going on versus maybe a couple of years ago, 3, 5, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Regardless if you believe that's happening or if you see it's happening, right? I feel like there's people, the spending is different. So what would you tell a pet retail owner to look at to figure out what is working?
So I would definitely, again, ear to the ground, listen to what your customers are asking for, listen to what your customers are saying, and even asking that question, especially if you feel as though that customer is no longer purchasing a particular item. So let's address the real thing is, if the customer is no longer shopping in your store and you see them less on occasion, or, asking them, what do you feed? I mean, isn't that always the question? What do you feed?
Yeah. Right.
What kind of food do you feed? I mean,
Right.
Everyone says that. So is the customer shopping somewhere else, listening to what they're saying? And one of the things that I'd like to address is, people are comfortable shopping online, and things are changing. And that's one of the things that, small brick and mortar stores never really want to address, is that things are changing in that way, because it's unsettling.
Yeah.
But offering that service of picking up in store is tremendous. I mean, so many stores, and Nancy, you and I are in the Metro New York area.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lifeline to be able to pick up in store. Or if you're in a community where you have apartment buildings, or the housing complexes, or the community complexes, you can make scheduled delivery days. These are customers that perhaps you are losing to an online business, where now you can offer them this option. I love the pickup in store, simply because I come from old school retail. So you want to add on, you want to upsell, you want to give them the options of, oh, I noticed you ordered, the 25 count wee pad, the 50 count is, half the price for double the money, or, you're getting double the price for whatever dollar amount is saving them money. So, offering services to that nature. I've even discussed with stores that say, I can't offer a delivery, but I do a recurring subscription.
Mm-hmm.
And this was years ago, and I found it so amazing. They had recipe boxes with the brand names of the food. So they knew when they needed to place these orders for customers, and they would call the customer, Mrs. Smith, it's been 3 weeks. We're getting ready to place your order. Just want to confirm if there's and I mean, it is a service. Now you're offering a service by holding the customer in high regard, emailing them, calling them, asking them if they're ready for their delivery, and you're taking it off their plate, because everyone loves subscriptions.
Yeah.
Everyone loves to be able to set it and forget it and be able to do that. So services like picking up in store, shipping it to the customer, delivering it to the customer, offering them a recurring, subscription where you're calling them up, or even offering shipping, especially during the holiday season. Oh, I would love to get this from my mother. She's in Florida. I'm in Long Island. Oh, we'll ship it for her. No problem. Yeah. And then you offer that service. Now, some people might not be able to do that, but at least it's something to think about.
Or couldn't they do that if they were working with you with DropShipper?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, I mean, essentially, the conversation is for the buying portion. But yes, naturally, you can always just, place an order on Pet DropShipper, change the ship to address, and we'll ship it out blindly to that customer. Right. I mean, obviously, so long as there's inventory. But customers are comfortable shopping online, and giving them the ordering online, picking up store option is creating a convenience. And people don't forget that. Right. People do want to shop local. People do want to support small business in their community. And then we can talk about those key point days, right? Which we didn't mention, Small Business Saturday. Right. I mean, if you're accepting American Express, they have a ton of POP material that you could put out there. Giving Tuesday, sync up with an organization in your community, have them come through to, maybe have a couple of cats and available for adoption, or posters that they can do specific, donations, hey, we're going to match every dollar for dollar. And these are the 2 pets that we're sponsoring for Giving Tuesday. And my rep friends are maybe not going to love me for saying this, but when I was a sales rep, I did every holiday weekend event that was possible, giving out samples, giving out education, setting up my own little table with a cute little skirt and a small bucket of candy canes. Get the reps to support you. Get the reps to come in and do that. If you're committed to a specific brand, they should be able to send someone to your store on a Giving Tuesday event, where for every bag that they're going to get a $2 off. That customer could take the $2 and then donate it to the shelter that's supporting you. So there's all kinds of creative ways, and really big days Small Business Saturday, as I said, Giving Tuesday, Black Friday. I mean, you can
Yeah.
create all kinds of really fun, events. Black Friday, if you buy, black dog boots, we're going to give $1 to the shelter. I mean, it could be anything as creative as
It
you
could be
want to get.
something like, yeah, Black Friday could be like, let's support a black dog in a shelter, right? Or a black cat in a shelter, right? You could twist it that way
Exactly.
or turn it that way.
Yeah. Or
And I think it's awesome what you're talking about, because we're also, we're talking about planning for the fourth quarter in the buying sense, right? Making sure that you have all of the things, looking at your numbers, as we said earlier.
Yep.
But the mention of the special dates that you just said, if pet businesses start planning now, they're going to be ahead of the game, right? So if you're like, Small Business
Absolutely.
Saturday, we're going to do this. We're going to look at all the things that, is offered with American Express or with that date that we can put it back into our community. If you start planning it now and start reaching out to those organizations that you want to work with, you are going to be ahead, because you're going to be able to send that press release. You're going to be able to invite people to your event way in advance. So that's just going to help, sell out those holiday products that you just bought to put into your store. So I love all of that.
Another part of planning too, Nancy, that I want to touch on is, hiring for holiday.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I have August to September. You don't want to hire someone, the day before Thanksgiving and just throw them into the trenches and expect them to know. August, September, you can start feeling out for hires. Everyone has a smartphone. You can do Zoom interviews with somebody who's away at college.
Yep.
You can send them a link to your website, or send them a link to, some educational material that you might find valuable. So this way they are, engaged, because the reality is especially a young person today, they're excited to have this opportunity. They want to do their best. Giving them some tools to learn a little bit while they're still not hired yet. And I even thought to myself, you do all this work and you get this person hired. Maybe there's a sign-on bonus for them completing the commitment and actually coming in, because you don't want to commit space to employees. So sign-on bonus is great. Hey, when you start, we're going to give you a sign-on bonus for X amount of dollars, for really staying true to your commitment to us, and things like that. And you can do these interviews via chat, anywhere, anytime. They're going to already mentally, it's like when you plan a vacation, right? You're already thinking about, okay, I need to go clothes shopping. I need to buy, new flip-flops, and I need to make sure we have enough sunscreen and all those kinds of things. Well, it holds true the same. I mean, I was that college kid. I was like, oh, I can't wait till Christmas. I'm going to, make some sales, and I'm going to be in the store. And I was that college kid in the pet store. So I remember that. Also, another important thing is the fun part, decorating, getting your decorations out for Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, bringing out that merchandise, anywhere from September through October. You want to definitely have Halloween stuff out if you're doing costumes or toys.
Yeah, at least wait till after 4th of July.
Yeah. Well, it's, I mean, how many times do we all say, I saw my first Christmas commercial? I mean, the Zyrtec commercial is hysterical.
It was like September 1st of last year, I think, when they started doing holiday commercials. I was like, come on, we haven't even gotten to Labor Day yet.
Yeah, but here's the fun, creative part. Why not start with cozy stuff? Because September is bed season. Yeah. September is sweater season. It's also still flea and tick season, but the point is
that could be year round. Depends on where you live.
Depending on where you're living. Yeah, depending on where you're living. We're in the Northeast, so it's through October at least. Sometimes November. I mean,
so let me just stop you for a second. So with all of these things that we're planning, right? The buying, how much you're buying, all of the decorations, hiring, and all of that, you have to make sure that you have the budget for that moving forward, right?
Sure.
And I know we talked about that, looking at sales and all of that. How does a pet retailer handle somebody that they think is going to start working for them? Everything's going good, and boom, now they're out that person, and they have to start looking for somebody else. Is there any way to plan? I know you said do interviews on the phones and all of that, but I feel like that happens to all the pet retailers I know. They get seasonal help, doesn't last. They have to find somebody else in the middle of the season.
So when I worked corporate in the mall stores, we budgeted it by hours. right? So you knew that your hours were extended. So if you're in a community where, holiday shopping is from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., where normally you're 9 to 5. Now you need to
Right.
budget in 3 extra hours. So essentially what we would do is we would overhire but cut the hours. So we then would be able to feel for that one particular person or two particular people that were looking to really, work, because some of them would say, oh, maybe the parents want, I mean, this is, I'm talking in the 90s. So I'm just using my 90s talk, but, they would say, oh, my parents wanted me to get a job while I was home from school. And, the kid was not really too totally motivated, or the young adult was not too totally motivated. So, they just kind of skipped out. And I mean, how many times do you don't show up until no answer's an answer? So, we would overhire. So essentially, when I was in the stores, we only needed 3 or 4 people. I would probably hire 6 and then, get a feel for which one is going to work out is going to work out the best. And no one wants to fire anybody during the holiday season. But if you've had the experience where you've hired 3 and 1 lasted, then you need to double down, probably hire 5, because then 2 will last, right? Because now it's a numbers game. So yeah, I would definitely look at it based on your hours. Because of course you're saying, someone would say to me, all right, you want me to hire 5 people, but I don't have a budget for that.
Yeah.
So it's to say, hey, I'm hiring 5 people, and be upfront with them. I'm hiring 5 people.
Make the cut. Who's going to make the cut?
Who are you going to be my rock star? Are you going to be my shining star that's going to lead the troops? Because and then the other nice part, and this is a totally different conversation, is if you have that one shining star, put them in charge of the other stars.
Yeah.
And then they'll let you know, because they'll say, hey, I'm trying to teach these other guys some of the information I know. And if it's a kid, or I keep saying kid, I'm sorry, but if it's a young person who worked with you other seasons, see if you can get them back. If they're not available, see if they have a friend that they trust and know, because you also have a rapport with them. Yeah. See if the person that you're hiring has friends. I did a couple of seminars at Global, and they were talking about referrals. And the referrals don't have to be, $100. They could be a Starbucks gift card for a cup of coffee. They can be something really simple that really is exciting for somebody to say, hey, yeah, I referred a friend. Thanks for referring your friend. Here's a cup of coffee, a $5, $10 gift card. So referrals are really good. Over hire, especially if you have that experience. If you don't have that experience, you do run the risk of being short.
Yeah. But it's true. I mean, and then you're the one in the store, so you have to prepare for that. If you are the business owner, you're going to be the one in the store. And I know plenty of retailers that it's just an ongoing thing, whether it's fourth quarter or summer seasonal help or that kind of thing. So I know we were talking before about pickup in the store, which I personally love, just in other stores. But the local store that I go to, pet retail store, there's always a line of products in the background behind the register of pickup. So that's a really fantastic way to get people in and upsell them, like you were saying. What about other types of services? Do you think that the fourth quarter is a good time to start, okay, we didn't really make our, as much money as we had hoped to last year. Okay.
You froze for a second.
Yeah, I know. My whole thing was stuck.
That's okay.
So do you think the fourth quarter is a good time to start offering services like nail trims or special days for this? And I'm not talking about events, but I feel like it's already so busy in the fourth quarter, but that might be a kind of a hard thing to do.
I think you definitely need to evaluate the amount of time that these certain services are going to take.
Right.
And then from there, be able to, gauge and say, nail trims sound to me more like a summer thing.
Yeah.
Something that, they're walking in off the street and we do walk-in nail trims. But it really depends on, of course, how busy are you? Are you a brand new store and you're trying to get people to come in? And you just opened in June and this is your first summer, you have to do whatever it takes to let people know that you exist, let people know you're there. Word of mouth is everything. Oh, there's a new pet store down on Main Street. They do free nail trims. you should go down there. Or they give out a free pack of poop bags.
Oh, well, I wasn't saying free, but
I'm just saying, I'm just using that as an example. Oh, they do nail trims for $5. You could just walk in, and every time you get a nail trim, they give you 2 poop bags. I mean, something, right? These are all marketing tactics, but I think you really have to gauge the work that it's going to take to get these things in place, because you don't want to do things haphazardly either. You want to have a structure, you want to have a plan, and you want to have that. But of course, fourth quarter, you're really looking to make things more convenient for people to shop. Fourth quarter is about spending. People are saving. They've cleared out their credit cards for the year so they can get their Christmas stuff and their Hanukkah stuff and their seasonal stuff. And you really want to focus on the sale aspect of it. But also, and I will say this, if you do decide to do some sale event, service thing, really be mindful of how much of an uptick that does bring to your business for 2 reasons. Number one, the first reason is this is an uptick because of this service, not because of what I sell.
Right.
And that you don't want to misconstrue this service as a thing that's going to bring you revenue where it will, but it's not. It doesn't have the cost of goods attached to it, right? A service could be a nail trim. And if you think about it, if you're the owner of the store and you're doing the nail trim, it doesn't cost you anything to do a nail trim, right? It costs you your time, which that's what you charge for. But the cost of goods sold on that is not something. So if there's a way for you to say service and then dollar, in your register, you definitely want to do that, because you don't want to misconstrue 100 nail trims at $10 a pop and say, wow, we did amazing this week. Well, you did a lot of nail trims.
Right. And also make sure that you have that recorded, so that when you're looking back at your last year's fourth quarter sales, you're not going, wow, why did we do so well in this week and this week? It's also like if you had photos with Santa, you're going to make probably more revenue that day, because people are going to come in and see the cute things and buy stuff in your store. So it's the same type of thing, whether you're doing a nail trim, or I think it just comes down to like making sure you are recording and paying attention to that, right?
That's really, really important, because then the following year, you don't want to have this miscalculated number.
Yeah, right.
FYI, I was in a store one time that was doing the photos with Santa, which they charged. And they charged if you wanted to rent the hat to have your dog wear a Santa hat with the picture. I thought that was genius.
Yeah, hilarious.
I thought that was genius. They had a bow tie, a Santa hat in pink and red.
Yeah.
I just thought it was genius.
And people probably paid for it, not even think, It
was like a $5 upcharge.
Right. My dog has a full Santa outfit with a hat, so
mine won't wear. My dogs won't wear anything. My previous dog, he was like dapper. He was like a dapper dog. He was like, dress me up. I'm ready to go. He would run with strut.
Every dog is different, but that's really funny.
But I thought this was genius.
Yeah.
I thought it was genius. I said, man, this hat paid for itself for 500 pictures. I mean, easily.
I think that's such a great idea. I also think another very simple idea that you can do any time of year, but would be fun during the holidays. And we usually focus this on people sharing, right? Causing that FOMO, having like an Instagrammable picture backdrop. But what if you actually charge for a really cool Instagram setup for like one weekend, and it was $5 to take 15 minutes worth of photos or whatever. And then you would donate a percentage of that to Animal Shelter to make it a win-win, right? Then not only are you bringing in revenue, people are probably going to shop in your store. You're creating that FOMO because they're going to share that they were at your store, and then you're going to share their pages. I think we think of terms of just having this backdrop there so people will share your store, which is of course great, right? We want that too. But I think you can always think a little bit outside the box, like renting the Santa hat is really, really a genius idea. Yeah. Cause a lot of people are like, oh, I don't have a Santa hat for my dog. I want to take the Santa hat. They see the dog in front of them with the Santa hat on. All right, $5, sure. Why not? So I think that's a really great idea.
Now that you were saying that, I was just thinking, like, if I had a store, I would do my Santa on a Saturday, and I would leave that set up so that families could come and take pictures.
Yeah.
And now you're renting it for, the same thing, and you're not, and again, people, usually owners are dressing up as Santa,
right?
And, whatnot, but you can then say, okay, I need to work the store on Sunday. I need to get my orders in for my suppliers the next day. And, I'm thinking like a retailer, and you can leave that up. People can come in anytime. It's like a do-it-yourself dog wash. You can have a do-it-yourself, photo shoot. Bring your kids in. Let, your husband or wife take the photo.
Yeah,
And you
absolutely.
just,
I think that there's just so many ways to do that. And if you have the space in your store to do some fun social media weekend where you just invite people in, like, here's the setup, because I think, everybody wants that, right? We all see that. I was going through Instagram this morning and I see a couple of my dog's friends on Instagram posting some of our member stores, right? So it's just a fun thing to see. So, okay, so I have a question for you. I know a few retailers that are opening literally like within the next week or two. What would you tell them that they're just opening? And I know they can watch us and learn about all the prep from last year, but it's their first fourth quarter. What the heck, what the heck should they plan for? I know we talked about events and all the things coming up, but do you have any advice for somebody that's brand new, that's like, I have to get started now and buy all the things and all of that?
Gosh, it's like, it seems so overwhelming.
Right.
So the first thing I would say is congratulations, because taking on an endeavor to own a small business is really, it's an amazing thing to do. Yeah. So I would always tell the person, number one, it's very easy to be overwhelmed. So don't overwhelm yourself. I would tell them is to set a plan of, here's the plan. We're going to open by October 1st. Or September 1st, right? Because it's already July for us. I mean, it's the 20th of June. And so let's just say it's July 1st and they want to open up. Whatever the time frame is that it takes, you have to work within that time frame. So, and you're probably going to hear me say these things frequently if you ever listen to anything. I always work backwards. Whether it's pricing or it's hours or it's budget, work backwards so that you can get to the end result. So work backwards. I want to open September 1st. I want to open August 1st. Here are the things that need to be done. And then depending on the amount of things that need to be done, now you need to know how much time you need to spend on that or engage with other people to get those things done. Yeah. So I would definitely say give yourself milestones. Give yourself a break. Make sure that you're putting in time to rest. So if someone is, it's July, right? So if someone's cuckoo enough to say, I want to open August 1st, and you don't even have shelving up, you got to be realistic. But definitely set dates, definitely set milestones of things that get done. Reach out to the resources that are available is going to be absolutely key, right? If you're shopping with a supplier, if you're shopping with Pet DropShipper, I have a scheduled call. Let's schedule a call. We can brainstorm. You're buying from me. I want you to be successful. Schedule a time with me. And I'm such a giver, right? Like I just want everyone to be amazing and do well and shine. And so for me, it's like, let's schedule a call. Let's iron out, for 15, 20 minutes, what it is that you're trying to create. Within that, let me get back to you and let's correspond by email. Sometimes you need an accountability partner. Sometimes you need just other people in your corner to say, this is my experience. But there are tons of manufacturer reps in your territory. Utilize them. Yeah. Let them help you. Let them help you set up. I came from corporate retail. When we were opening a new store, you wanted your leashes, collars in my store. You came and set that up. I'm not doing that. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying it's snotty, like I'm not doing that, but that's your company. You want to represent your brand. Put your brand up. I worked for dog food companies. When we were setting up freezers for somebody, we waited for the delivery to come in. Utilize the vendor reps, utilize manufacturer reps, utilize demo reps. Conversate with, if you're buying from a distributor, conversate with the distributors, get your local rep in there. It's their job to help you be successful, just like it's my job to help others to be successful. So milestones, create a plan, sit down with a cup of coffee on a Sunday morning. If you're listening to this now and you're one of those people who are opening up in 4 weeks or 8 weeks or 12 weeks or whatever it is, sit Sunday, get a piece of paper, just a plain piece of paper and a pencil, write down the deadline, work backwards, and then see what it is who you can utilize.
Yeah.
You can call if you're buying from a distributor or you're buying from me, you can call me and we can get the people that you need to get on board. Everyone in the industry knows somebody. It's like the 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon, is it?
Yeah.
Everyone knows somebody.
Yep.
Even if it's you, Nancy, and you have a friend in a store that you could say, hey, I have a customer and our client, they want to know, where do they get shelving?
Yep.
Where do they get this? I mean, I have friends in the Metro New York area as well. And believe me, I just had a conversation about what's better, Squarespace or Lightspeed, so.
Yeah. No, I think that's such great advice, because especially the working backward, because it can seem super overwhelming, but if you take it one step at a time, you cross out one task at a time as you go through each day, you'll be okay. It'll be fine. It'll all come together. But I just think it's like, you're opening July 1st, let's say, and you're thinking of like, oh my God, the holidays are going to be here before we know it. I have to prep for that as well as opening my new store. So I think that's really great advice. And then lean on all those people in the industry that you're already going to be working with is such great advice.
Absolutely. And the holiday stuff doesn't ship right away. So let me just prelude that.
Yes.
When you're ordering your holiday stuff, it's not coming in until September.
Right.
So you're not paying for it. I mean, and granted, you don't want to cancel it if you think you've overspent or things change or whatever.
Right.
And people will work with you. I mean, we work with people all the time. Hey, can I cancel this and add this? And, you want to be able to do that. But, I will say to that note of working backwards, and I'm sure you've heard this, I talk about it in my podcast all the time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Right. Yeah.
Just did a podcast on Eat That Frog. And it's really about exactly what we just said.
Yeah.
Eating the ugliest task first, and then everything else will fall into place.
Yeah.
So there's all these great resources out there. There's all these great people that really are there to help set you up.
Yeah, I love that also. Tackle the hardest task in the morning first, get that out of the way, then the rest of the day.
Everything else falls into place.
It does.
I always find that.
Everything easier. Yeah. Absolutely.
It really does.
Yeah.
Or then you at least realize that, especially opening a store or starting a new business, you're like, okay, I just need to do this. And then before you know it, it's like that call to get this done led to 4 other people calling you, and they got half that work done for you.
Yeah.
It's really amazing when you watch those things happen. It's like watching a miracle.
So before we wrap up, I have 2 more questions for you. What are Pet Dropshippers' plans for the 4th quarter? How do you prep?
Oh, so as we said, we've already been bought in for all the holiday products. Right. I've actually, I was away last week for a few days. So this week, all of my calls are, can you please send me a copy of what I have coming in?
Yeah.
And because our catalog is online, we've begun to start making sure that all the details are correct. Some of the items that we've bought in are similar to last year's. Perhaps maybe the packaging has changed, so we're making sure all those images are changed. We're doing interviews now for a second warehouseman, so this way we have things flowing and going more quickly. I've already pre-ordered shipping boxes. I've already pre-ordered, so we use some post office packaging, so my shipping materials are pre-ordered. We're making a little bit of space to bring in, all of our holiday stuff. I'm hiring another person to help with things like that. And then really, I'm actually stepping away from some of the more operational things so that I can work on the business, not in it all the time.
Yeah.
And that really allows us to prepare for bigger things to come.
Right.
As far as we've increased our integration, and we haven't really launched this, but I'm so excited. I will tell you, we are developing an AI tool for anyone that integrates with us, that it will help the customer through their platform, whether it's Shopify or WooCommerce, to be able to look through the product listings that we offer to be able to suggest particular items.
Yeah.
We've bought in 2 new brands that are really going to really do well for us. And I'm not going to say on those, so stay tuned. But I do the same thing. I work backwards. I say, what would I like to see for the end of December? Where would I like to be as an organization, December 31st. I would like to have, this in place, and no holiday products left. So it's
Exactly.
important, but it's important for me to make sure that customers know what's available right away.
Yeah.
We're setting up pre-orders, we're having conversations, we're getting more product up. I even was, looking at some monthly promotional calendars, so we've tweaked those a little bit. And then we're working on a more robust monthly promotions. So our sale page has at any given time 300 to 500 products on sale.
Wow.
So I think that's really exciting. We're creating a deal seekers page for discontinued product.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, some VIP bundle programs. Anyone who's purchasing, ahead of time, if they're purchasing it by the case pack, we're looking at running promotions for things like that. Because again, packing out one case is literally like going like here to here versus 1, 2, 3 counting out. So that saves us a lot of time. So I'm looking at, optimizing that, optimizing time, flow, products, and then marketing's everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you definitely sound like you have a lot going on prepping for the fourth quarter. But I know you're a well-oiled machine at this point that a lot of it is already done when you have all those policies and procedures and everything already in place and you're just adding to it to make it easier. Yeah, it's cool.
And we have a lot of that stuff on our website. So anyone who wants to kind of commingle and look at things, even for their own policies, I'm happy that they can copy and paste whatever they want.
Yeah.
Return policies.
That's great.
Registration policies, if they are online, how they want to do that and such. So, and I do have a link on the site to a Calendly app. So anybody who wants to, schedule a call with me is more than welcome to do so. I'm happy to help.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you'd like to add about fourth quarter prep? I feel like we covered a lot, but
yes, I actually did. So this year, Christmas falls on a Monday.
Oh.
And Hanukkah falls on December 7th and is a Tuesday. So again, having that retail background, that Monday means that your weekend before Christmas is going to be so busy.
Yeah.
Be prepared. People don't look at it until they're in December going, oh my God, Christmas is on a Monday.
Right.
When Christmas is on a Friday, you got, the weekend of that weekend, it's like la-di-da-di-da.
Right. You're more relaxed. It's over.
You're more relaxed. But when it's on a Monday, that Saturday and Sunday, if you're open, is like go time.
Yeah.
And then Hanukkah and Christmas are pretty far apart.
Far apart this year, because I feel like last year they were the same week, right? Wasn't it last year?
They were the same week, which means that the whole month of December is going to be,
busy.
So festive and so busy.
Yep.
And, people are going to be going from Hanukkah parties to Christmas parties to work parties. So I would say from December 6th, which is the night before Hanukkah, until Christmas, just put on your sneakers and get ready to rumble, because I imagine that retail is going to be that much busier.
Yeah.
Making sure you're scheduling and look at those dates, making sure that you have a full staff. That weekend's going to be all hands on deck, we used to say in the store.
Yeah.
Like people say, oh, I need off. No, you don't need off. It's all hands on deck. This is when I need you the most. This is go time.
Yeah.
So that was another thing. And then, and the last time that happened was 11 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So I wrote that one down, and that every year holiday spending increases by almost $1 billion.
Crazy.
So for 2020, it was $789 billion. For 2021, it was $886 billion. So you're looking at $1 billion in sales for holiday spending. So these are really big numbers.
Yeah.
And who wouldn't like a 0.0% of 700?
Exactly. Start planning now, everybody. Don't wait until November when it's Thanksgiving. Start planning now so you can get a big piece of that pie.
And I do have a monthly calendar of what you should be planning in the dealers tab on Pet DropShipper. So, September is holiday, Halloween and apparel. October is still holiday and apparel. November should be, holiday and apparel and consumables for holiday. And then come December, you want to restock what you're going to need for the beginning of first quarter, January, and looking at Valentine's Day in December.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of Valentine's Day products. I mean, we carry all the multi-pet holiday Valentine stuff, and so you want to look at that. But I do have a link on Pet Dropshipper in the deals tab. It says holiday planner. It'll take you to a Google Drive for that. So, and these are just my experiences and things that other people share with me, and I'm like, that's a great idea, and I'll punch it in there. So, but definitely take a look at those dates and see, what you need to be successful, and set yourself up for that.
Very cool. Very cool. It's really great advice. And it's, as much as I love the summer, you have to start planning ahead. I mean, I've been saying that forever, that if you aren't planning ahead in your pet business, you're going to get a little left behind, right? So don't let it overwhelm you. Like you were saying, work backwards, and let's look forward to having a really fantastic fourth quarter and, ending the year on a high, right? So that's what we always love to see in the pet industry. And I always like to say, and I know you do too, is that the more that we can bring in for pet retailers, the more that we can give back to our animal rescues and all of that. So I think that's really important. If that's something that you're doing and you're not letting your customers know that you give back and you work with animal shelters, let them know, because they will want to keep shopping at your store. So it's really important.
Yeah, the Black Dog Friday is a great idea. Black Friday.
Yeah.
Dogs.
I think so, right? Black Dog or Black Pet Friday. All of this portion of our sales are going to go to the dogs and cats that don't get adopted the most. So it's a simple thing to do. But Janene, thank you so much. This was fantastic. It was always good to see you. And hopefully we'll get to see each other in person soon. I think it was global the last time we saw each other.
Super Zoo's coming up. So
I know it's coming up fast. All right. Well, thank you so much again. And for anybody that is watching, thank you for watching. And if you're listening to a future podcast episode, thank you for listening. And you can find out all of Janene's information in the comment section wherever you're watching.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great one, and best of holiday season to everyone.
Yes, definitely. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.